Hola, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos, si podemos ir tomando asiento, por favor. Bienvenidos todos, ¿cómo están? Hola, hola, ¿tienen frío? ¿Tienen calor? ¿Tienen hambre? Buenísimo. Me presento, soy Miguel Castilla, director de Mercadotecnia y de Laudes. Bienvenidos a nuestras oficinas corporativas aquí en Santa Fe. Sabemos que están un poco retiradas, pero agradecemos por eso muchísimo que estén aquí con nosotros hoy. ¿Qué hacemos en Laudes? Pues tenemos un convenio increíble con la gente de México, porque tenemos un objetivo común: mandar a más alumnos a estudiar fuera. Laudes es un líder en el tema de préstamos educativos en México. Trabajamos para que más alumnos puedan estudiar dentro de México, que por una razón ya el flujo necesario para pagar su universidad en México y otros estudios no simultáneos. Tenemos otra gran parte del negocio, que es habilitar las condiciones para que los alumnos puedan viajar a hacer una maestría, un doctorado, curso de grado, y nosotros tenemos este objetivo común. Y pues este convenio que nos da muchísimo gusto porque podemos ser anfitriones de eventos como este y pues nos da la oportunidad de conocer gente del ecosistema, estar en contacto con los fundadores de las escuelas, de los institutos, de las agencias. Aquí estamos. Muchas gracias, luego están por aquí dando vueltas y pues están bienvenidos.
Hola, buenos días. Antes que nada, muchísimas gracias por venir, por darnos el regalo de su presencia. Sabemos que estas claves que el tratado sea muy sencillo. Sin embargo, el objetivo que comentaba bien, el objetivo que tenemos todos aquí es que nuestros estudiantes tengan acceso a oportunidades de educación universitaria. Y hoy tenemos el privilegio de colaborar con Macquarie University y más que es un regalo que llegó justo en el momento de Education and the parte de este proyecto es que todos los estudiantes tengan un desarrollo profesional que pues a veces solo nos soñamos y nuestro objetivo es hacer realidad. Gracias, pues igual, bienvenidos a todos, a los que vienen de todas partes, del sur, del norte, gracias por estar aquí. Y bueno, ya mencionó prácticamente todo Pau, como adición, lo que yo puedo comentarles nuestra razón de ser con la Education es precisamente darles esa oportunidad, darles a conocer a los estudiantes que están buscando realizar estudios en el extranjero. Yo tuve la oportunidad de hacerlo, yo soy exalumna de Macquarie, precisamente. Y entonces, pues, esta es la parte de cuando uno lo vive y sabe cómo es la experiencia, y sabe que lo hiciste sola, que no traes esa información, que te costó todo lo valido por haber para poder lograr el objetivo. Y ahora nosotras estamos haciendo eso para poder no solo ayudar a los estudiantes a que tengan una admisión, sino trazarles un plan de vida y carrera. Ese es nuestro objetivo principal, trabajar en equipo con los estudiantes, con los counselors y con los mamás, para que estén tranquilos y que sepan que es una gran oportunidad y que puedan aprovechar y que sí se puede hacer. Entonces, muchas gracias, aquí vamos a estar y bueno, deseo pues millones de gracias. Realmente los invitados de honor son todos ustedes, además del doctor Duca, porque sí que vienen muchos kilómetros lejanos. Pero les quiero agradecer gigantescamente por estar con nosotros.
Ya necesito que me ayudes a ubicar para presentar, no veo el botón. ¿Cuál de esos es?
Mi nombre es Elio Osorio, yo soy
la
directora regional de la Universidad Macquarie para América. Tengo mi base aquí en la Ciudad de México, de hecho somos muy contadas las
australianas e internacionales que nos encontramos aquí. Entonces, por favor, consideren una aliada. Como les estaba platicando a algunos de ustedes, justamente también soy egresada de la universidad. Yo tuve pues, el gran privilegio hace unos años atrás de irme a través de una beca de CONACYT hacer la maestría en Macquarie. Bueno, hoy también mi objetivo de vida profesional es apoyar a los estudiantes en todas las maneras posibles. Tenemos aquí a muchos amigos de diferentes high schools que están en la Ciudad de México. Sabemos que tenemos gente que vino desde Cuernavaca. De hecho, les dije a las chicas que la próxima vamos a hacer premios estelares de los más puntuales, los que más kilómetros viajaron. Tenemos aquí amigos de varias universidades que son ya socios de nosotros, como el Tecnológico de Monterrey, como la NAHUAC, la Universidad Panamericana, como el Ibero. Y pues,
Por favor, necesito que entres a la transmisión y monitores audio desde tu celular.
Tenemos muchas veces nuestros estudiantes, nuestros académicos, los investigadores, voltean mucho a Estados Unidos, a Canadá, a Europa, pero bueno, también mostrarles que existen oportunidades. Y pues a todos los colegas les dejamos también todas estas ideas, un poquito como food for thought. Y el hecho que tenemos al académico para pensar en qué oportunidades de colaboración podemos considerar, además de intercambios, de dobles grados, de investigación, de oportunidades de short-term programs. Esto digamos que es una sección de creatividad para que ustedes puedan tener ideas de qué mayores maneras podemos colaborar. Pues también le quiero agradecer gigantescamente a Lauris por esta oportunidad y obviamente a mis colegas de GRET. Y en un momentito más, de hecho, viene transportándose de la hermana república de la Ciudad de México, viene justamente el doctor Buta directamente desde el Tecnológico de Monterrey, campus Ciudad de México. Estamos súper
Audio.
No me van a mentir que esto no pasa a diario.
Ahí directamente.
Él vino justamente al International Faculty Week por el Tecnológico de Monterrey, entonces nos va a tocar y lo van a ver llegar en un momentito más. Y bueno, ahorita les queremos presentar un video que nuestra colega Laura Díaz, que justamente ella es la Business Development Manager de la Embajada de Australia, justamente de la Australian Trade and Investment Commission, que grabó porque desafortunadamente no pudo estar presente con nosotros, pero bueno, es un video súper interesante que creo que nos va a ayudar muchísimo a dar contexto.
Necesito que me ayudes aquí a ver dónde quedó el cursor.
¿De qué es?
Internacional. Entonces, trabajo súper de la mano con Amy. De hecho, somos muy afortunados de tenerla basada en Ciudad de México como una de las directoras regionales que tiene su base pues en el país. Y también pues agradecer muchísimo a Paulina y a Ale de Gate Education y al equipo de Laurex. Mi presentación es muy breve y en realidad es presentarles más bien el por qué Australia. Sé que hay muchos destinos maravillosos para sus estudiantes, pero en realidad en lo que nos queremos enfocar es precisamente en por qué Australia es un destino increíble de estudios. Entonces, pues bueno, estas son ciertas características que comparte Australia. Lo primero que me encanta mencionar siempre tiene que ver con la multiculturalidad. Un porcentaje muy importante de la población que actualmente vive en Australia no es australiana, o alguno de sus padres nació fuera de Australia. Entonces, realmente hay un ambiente completamente internacional y Macquarie University sin duda no es la excepción. Ya Amy y el Dr. Gupta les comentarán un poquito más acerca de la experiencia exclusiva de la universidad, pero en general uno puede encontrar en Sydney y en toda Australia personas provenientes de todo el mundo. Igual, algo que es bien importante destacar tiene que ver con la gran calidad de vida que existe en Australia y que esto evidentemente se relaciona con la seguridad que existe en el país. Es muy raro que tengamos algún incidente relacionado con la seguridad y sabemos que esto es una preocupación muy importante de los estudiantes y las familias, el precisamente estar en un ambiente seguro. Algo que también nos encanta mencionar siempre tiene que ver con el clima y con cómo, a diferencia de otros destinos, nosotros como mexicanos batallamos un poco precisamente con este tema, pero que en Australia, al contrario, eso no es un problema y que también pues hay un balance excelente entre la vida, digamos, de estudio y el trabajo, pero también el tiempo libre. Y pues sin duda, y este es el motivo que nos reúne aquí a todos hoy, tiene que ver con la calidad educativa excepcional que ustedes van a encontrar en Australia en nuestras instituciones y además el saber que Australia como país ofrece diversos beneficios para los estudiantes internacionales, siendo uno de ellos la oportunidad que tienen de estudiar y trabajar al mismo tiempo. Perfecto. Ahora me gustaría platicarles un poquito acerca de 4 factores que hacen de Australia un excelente destino de estudios de educación superior. El primero tiene que ver con la calidad. Seguramente el Dr. Gupta y Amy les comentarán mucho más acerca de el trabajo específico que se hace. Los requisitos de ingreso a instituciones australianas muchas veces son mucho más sencillos que a otros destinos que usualmente tenemos más en mente. Igual es importante mencionar, platicando un poquito acerca de los requisitos de admisión, que la mayoría de las licenciaturas duran 3 años y que debido a que Australia está en el hemisferio sur, pues el el calendario académico es distinto. Entonces, el semestre 1 es a finales de febrero y el semestre 2 es a finales de julio.
Tengo un delay tremendo. Un minuto de delay.
7 preguntas donde los estudiantes pueden recibir un mapeo precisamente dependiendo de las áreas de su interés y de su personalidad, de precisamente en qué sectores pueden trabajar, qué trabajos del futuro existe para ellos. Y ya por último, me gustaría compartirles las redes sociales tanto del equipo de Austrian. Tenemos de hecho una página completamente en español para nuestra audiencia de Latinoamérica y las redes de la embajada. Siempre estamos compartiendo información, actualizaciones, eventos cuando tenemos, entonces pues me dará muchísimo gusto que nos sigan para que nos tengan al tanto. De momento eso sería todo de mi parte. Muchísimas gracias y nuevamente Amy, muchas gracias por la invitación.
Bueno. Maravilloso. And we are just welcoming Dr. Gupta, just directly from Tecnológico de Monterrey, not specifically from Australia. We hope he's not too jet lagged. Nice to meet you.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. Well, and I will take time now. Well, we will do Spanish English. Yes. To share with you, well, a little bit more of the Australian system, what Macquarie University also can offer to your students, but also academics, researchers, and well, as I was telling you from the beginning, this is the idea, is to give you food for thought, to think about more opportunities of collaboration through the university, but also with the different system of universities in Australia. So we will have just in a moment the presentation. And well, as I was just mentioning, I was really lucky to do a double degree in international communication and international relations. As Laura was mentioning, podemos poner la presentación del Macquarie. Gracias. So as Laura was just mentioning, something that it's a huge highlight of la presentación de Macquarie, por favor. Desde el inicio. Gracias. Yeah, so we are an extremely multicultural country. I'm sure Dr. Gupta, that is just based in Sydney, will be able to tell you a little bit more. But just to tell you that in my personal experience doing the international relations program there, it was like being in the United Nations, my classroom. It's not just the diversity of the student community, but also the professors, Australian professors, but also teachers from absolutely all over the world, with a very strong academic background, but also with a very strong industry background. So, well, here you have my email. As I said, I am based here in Mexico. You do have my business card on the table. So please never hesitate to reach out to me. I will be always extremely happy to connect with your students, to connect with your academics, with your researchers. La siguiente, por favor. Well, so mentioning a little bit more, this is something really interesting of Australia that was a big surprise for me, and I assume for the majority of you. In Australia, there are in fact only 42 universities. Of them, 40 are public institutions and around two private universities. In the case of Macquarie, we are a public university. You will see the huge difference with Mexico, that we must have thousands of universities. And this number of universities are extremely highly focused on research, innovation, and technology development. So you will see the all different of the states. We are based in New South Wales in the state of Sydney. Next. So it is highly known, and Laura was mentioning all about the quality of the education system of Australia. And I am sure that is the reason why we are all here together looking at the possibility to engage between your high schools, your universities, and also your research centers and institutions. 13 universities are in the top 200 of the world. That is the case of Macquarie. In fact, we are at the moment ranked in the number 133 and top 10 of Australia. We know rankings are a full world, and we tend to get very, very crazy and sometimes even confused with rankings. But this is only just to mention that the level of academic quality that the institution has, in particular because it's highly driven by research. So that is what makes the institutions stand out. As you can see, Australia at the moment, and well, you all know way better than us, tends to be in the top 4 of the largest international student destinations. Siguientes. It has a very, very large number of international students. It is highly known, and well, of course, Laura said it way before than I can, for having a world-class and state-of-the-art facilities, the Australian policies that are really welcoming to students, being able to work, to have a potential graduate visa, an amazing weather. This, like the weather that we are having today in Mexico City, would be a cold winter for Sydney standards, and it can get very, very hot. It is a very, very safe country. Siguiente. In fact, Sydney is considered as one of the safest cities of the world. Siguiente. Which has, of course, also the highest standards of life. It's constantly looked as in the best student cities, most livable. Something also pretty interesting of Sydney that I always want to sort of like focus it with academic areas of Macquarie is that it is one of the most populous cities, but also has the largest number of registered companies in the whole country. Although it's not the official capital, a lot of students always tell me, no, Sydney is the capital because I saw it in Buscando Nemo. But, well, in fact, it is the financial and economical capital of the country. Siguiente. Well, we already saw, as well, and Dr. Gupta will be able to tell us more how often he passes by the Sydney Harbour, but I can tell you that those images look like if they were artificial intelligence, but it is not. In reality, that's one of the most Instagram beaches in the whole city. Siguiente. So, it is a highly world-class university, ranked in the 1% of the world. It is a 60-year-old institution. So for Australian standards, we normally say it is around kind of like a teenager. That is something that I said constantly, but highly, highly focused on employability and relationship with the industry. In fact, it's one of the most highly known universities within Sydney for the employment outcomes of their students. Siguiente. So these are all our study areas. We're highly known in the world for our business programs. In fact, we were just recently visiting several of your universities with our director for the MBA program. And of course, well, today our guest of honor from the Faculty of Science and Engineering. But as you saw, Alejandra and I, we studied at the Faculty of Arts. There are really several known areas in business, in engineering. We also have a medical faculty. Siguiente. And well, the Australian government, as it really takes care of the quality and the academic level of their institutions, those are benchmarking between the national universities, but also internationally. And at the moment, Macquarie is considered as the #1 university in Sydney for the teaching quality of its undergraduate and postgraduate programs. Siguiente. And it is middle-sized for Australian standards. This is around almost 45,000 students. Imagine the community. Of them, around 20 to 25% tend to be international students. And we really work on the quality and diversification of our student community. This is a key, crucial part for us. Siguiente. Siguiente. Well, we will be able to see here a little bit of the facilities of the university. You already saw in the prior video. This looks like if it was artificial intelligence. Nowadays, everything that is beautiful and new looks like artificial intelligence, but I can tell you it is not. That is the heart of our campus, where we have our accommodation located, where graduation takes place. We have around 16 different food outlets, a bar, a lake, as you could see. Siguiente. So are all the education and award-winning architectural designs and all different modern and social facilities for the students. We also, as I was mentioning, we are Australia's first fully integrated health precinct. That means we have our own private hospital or campus. This is a teaching hospital. We do offer medical programs also, and so many programs related to medical and health sciences within undergrad and postgrad. And something extremely important for your students is that with their overseas student health cover, in fact, anything that they might need, any support, if they got flu or anything, they can get the support here at the hospital and clinics. Well, these are more of our different facilities, our robotic library, our incubator. I know for your universities and here in Mexico, entrepreneurship, it is part of the core values. And I wouldn't have a doubt that in the high schools, it's also something that is highly driven for your students. And that's something that Macquarie really looks at. We have the incubator that is for the whole ecosystem. We are located in the equivalent of the Silicon Valley of Australia. This is the Macquarie Park and Innovation District, which has more than 300 companies. I'm sure Dr. Gupta will be able to tell us a little bit more of the engagement from the faculty. And I have a very interesting slide to share with you. But this is to tell you that the students can actually work on startups with researchers, with academics, and with the full ecosystem of entrepreneurship. In our arts precinct, that it has even a museum there. We have, this is a really interesting fact that students wouldn't, and in particular what Latin American students wouldn't expect it, but as public transportation works really well, and this is in Australia in general, that's something that really makes that the students can be independent and be wherever they wish. We do have our own metro station on campus, and it just takes 18 minutes to get there. I'm not sure if Dr. Gupta drives or takes the metro. He will be able to tell us. or the bicycle? No, bicycle. Okay. Yeah, and in peak times, they just get every 4 minutes. So this is one of the great things of how public transport does work in Australia. Siguiente. So that's the location. We are in the northern part. It is sort of like as Mexico City. And normally, when I always compare it, and not because we are just in Santa Fe right now, but I always compare it that it is a little bit like traveling to Santa Fe, a little bit by a metro. And it is just exactly just a little bit faster, less traffic. And less crowded, exactly. You know you will be there on time. It's not just a guess that we can normally take. So it is around 13 kilometers to the city center. Siguiente. And yet, I think this slide is very crucial, and I really like it. Those are, as I was telling you, 300 companies, both national and international, from smaller to really large corporations, are based in the campus. Those are the 4 main industries from which the majority of the organizations are part. But you can see some incredible examples, institutions like Microsoft, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Huawei, BYD, Philips, Siemens, and so many with whom we work to co-develop our programs, but also to offer several internships or different opportunities for our students. For our bachelor students, it is a core component, the professional and community engagement activities. For masters, also the large majority. In fact, let me tell you an interesting example. When I was doing my Master of International Relations, I did my internship at the Australia-China Business Council. I was really fortunate that the building was just in front of the Opera House. So it seems like a dream, but where you saw the full harbor, that was exactly the full window. I would look at the window and it would be the full Opera House there. And it was, you won't believe, you will think that I am a liar, but there was an amazing taco place just down there. So I couldn't be. It was like an incredible dream. I cannot tell. I cannot tell specifically to the students if they will have a taco place there. But well, all our programs do have the work integrated opportunities. Así que. Perfecto. We also have a career and employment service. So a very important message that Laura was sharing, and that we always say to our students, that we understand it's a little bit different as other student destinations, is the fact that they can work part-time, so the equivalent of 24 hours. At the moment in Australia, the minimum salary is around 25 Australian dollars per hour. And the university, but this is something that all Australian universities, I will say, that have at the core services for their students. So a career and employment center, they can work in any field. It doesn't mean that they just can work on campus. They can work absolutely on any industry, and the internships do help them to be able to get into the market. And I would say that the salaries on campus, which the students can take a lot of administrative or mentoring or body roles, have higher salaries. We also have the exchange and study abroad opportunities. We understand, so we have several exchange agreements with universities that are here. I'm sure we will all agree that all the universities here, as well as the high schools, are among the top best institutions in Mexico. So this is the level of academic quality that Macquarie looks on its partners, and that's also all over the world. So even if your students want to go overseas to some other part of the world, we do have agreements with those institutions. And we understand that sometimes for universities, it can get a little bit tricky because our Mexican students love to go to Australia, but for our domestic students can be a little bit tricky sometimes because they might not be fluent in Spanish, or they might be kind of like wanting to do a short-term program or maybe not committing from the beginning to a 6-month semester. So there are other opportunities that we can consider. So we already covered this part, our academic areas. And well, as Laura was mentioning, the university has different entry pathways. As you might be familiar, I assume, at this stage, the Australian educational system, it is still considering a high school from the national Mexican accreditation at the equivalent of a year 11. And for that reason, normally Australian universities might require your students, when graduating directly, to be able to do a foundation or an additional program. I can confirm that all the direct entry requirements that you can see there allow the students to enter completely into the bachelor without the need to do a foundation program. So all of them from GCE, if your school allows the students to graduate with the equivalent of a US senior high school certificate, IB, which is one of the easiest way for them to enter, SAT, APs. In fact, the APs is something quite new that we know that your students are highly familiar. And in fact, if your students do take the IB diploma and they get certain requirements in the English level, they can actually enter without the need to do a TOEFL program. So if you have any questions about this, we will have some time for discussion, for networking. So you can always let me know. And we also have the foundation programs. We also have an intensive one that it's only 6 months that I would tell you it is something that we are seeing more and more the Latin American students looking. These are our standard requirements. I know that your students might graduate with the equivalent of B2, C1. So that's normally the requirement. And we accept several English tests from the IELTS, Pearson, TOEFL. In fact, we do have a close relationship with IELTS here in Mexico. So if you need any contact at a point, I would be very happy to facilitate it. These are our 2 intakes that Laura was mentioning. This is February and July every year. We normally recommend students applying at least with 6 months in advance, mainly because we want them to apply for the visa as early as possible. Macquarie is still level 1, so as long as they have all their documents, they don't have any visa background, etc., they should be able to obtain their visa really, really soon. And we have the really, really close support from the embassy. These are all different accommodation options. I just want to show you mainly the pictures, so you know we have from colleges, from central quarter accommodation. This is something quite more and more common. The Australian government has an objective that Australian universities have more and more residential and accommodation opportunities. So the students don't constantly struggle when finding an accommodation opportunity. Well, we have so many different student support opportunities. We even provide completely for free airport pickup to the students. So that is very important for them to know, because we understand that getting to campus, jet lag, we always want like a friendly face. We have our sports and aquatic center with an Olympic swimming pool, and more than 130 clubs, student associations. I think this is something a little bit different to other educational systems. So in Australia, majority of sports or student engagement gets through the associations, in which the students are part of the heart of them, and the university does fund this. So we have more than 130 of them. These are the photos that our students share with us. You will be able to see all the different flags. There is a good Mexican community there growing, so they are very, very active. And well, almost last but not least, we have one of the largest shopping centers. Always for flexible work options, it's always an opportunity. And well, enough from me. We will have our guest of honor in a moment, but I just want to remind you, and you have the scholarships postcards there, that at the moment, Macquarie has a direct scholarship for all your students, bachelor, master students. This scholarship is very close to 25% of the total tuition fees, and the students receive it directly, just when applying for the program. It is important to remember that Laudex is here, that they are always super friendly and open to support your students. And also in particular for postgraduate programs, we work hand by hand together, apart from Laudex, with FIDER and with FUNET. Okay, so well, this is basically everything from me, but now we will have Dr. Gupta with us in a moment. Let me tell you a little bit from him. So Dr. Gaurav Gupta is the Director of Education in the School of Computing of the Faculty of Science and Engineering. His teaching interests include programming languages, software development, and cryptography. This is very interesting. He loves football, soccer. That's why he's preparing for the World Cup. In fact, his family and food, but he says it is in that particular order. So Dr. Gupta, as I was saying, is currently in Mexico City participating in the Tecnológico de Monterrey, Mexico City campus, International Faculty Week, together with the School of Engineering and Sciences. So please, let me give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. I think Amy has already covered lots of things that I was hoping to cover. So I can just sit and have my coffee again, I think. It's really, really lovely to be in Mexico. Some of my very, very good students, hardworking students, energetic students, and most importantly, happy students have been from Mexico. In fact, you see this over here. This is near an area called Circular Quay. And when I was sitting here, this area gave me the chills, literally, goosebumps. That's because in 2011, I was training for the marathon. And my running partner was my ex-student from Mexico City, Eliud Carrera. So I remember running with Eliud over here, and then across the Harbor Bridge, and then another 17 kilometers towards Macquarie University. So I have had a long relationship with Mexico. Eliud's mom came and she cooked for all of us, and that was fantastic as well. I love Mexican food as well. Yesterday I had some fantastic street tacos. Over the last 15 years, Sydney has seen more and more assimilation of different cultures, including Mexican culture. So when I went to Australia 21 years ago, we couldn't find the ingredients like the sauces or other ingredients to cook Mexican food. 3 years ago, I wanted to try and make birria tacos at home. So we could actually find the 4 or 5 different kinds of chilies, ancho chili, adobo, and other chilies on Amazon. So it is getting easier for international students to be in Australia and still have that connection with home. One of my favorite restaurants, unfortunately, it's closed down, La Cocina de la Abuela. My grandmother's kitchen, they made fantastic burritos as well. So I can talk about Mexican food and football for an hour, but I guess I'm paid to talk about the degree. A little bit about myself. I've been at Macquarie University for 21 years now. I went to do, I did my undergrad in India, in my hometown, very small town, 5 million people. Then I went to National University of Singapore to do my master's. And the reason I'm saying this is National University of Singapore is ranked number 4 in the world in computing right now. And I then moved to Macquarie University to do my PhD. At that time, NUS was ranked like 18th in the world in computing. Macquarie was ranked 65th in the world in computing. But rankings only matter so much. I'm much, much happier at Macquarie University than I ever was at NUS. So there are many, many factors that affect overall happiness. So I'll talk about that a little bit as well. So while my presentation is about IT degrees, I'm happy to answer questions about business analytics or finance or some other degrees if you have questions. To understand the audience, can I check how many of you are representing high schools? High schools. And how many of you are representing education agent institutions? Okay. And universities? And partner universities? Okay. So it's almost like a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 split, which is good, especially for high school representatives. I'm not saying that others don't care about students, but especially for high school representatives. And our common aim is to do the best for the student. And you'll have all the information to your disposal. And the idea is to provide the best guidance for the student. I went to Australia because, personally speaking, I'm not saying that Singapore is not good. Personally speaking, I found that I would like a more balanced lifestyle, while Singapore is very ambitious. If you're ambitious and you're career oriented and you want to climb up the ladder, Singapore's fantastic. People are very hardworking. They take work very seriously, but it's a bit too serious for me. So I'm 45 now. Until 5 years ago, I used to play soccer 5 times a week. But now I've reduced playing 2 or 3 times a week because my knees hurt. So for me, it's very, very important that I can duck out for a game of soccer at lunchtime, and my head of school supports that. So Australia is the kind of sector where you can decide what you want to do. You can decide if you want to have a 60-hour work week, or you can decide if you want to have a 30-hour flexible work week. I start working really early, 6 o'clock in the morning. I finish a lot of my work till 9 in the morning. Then I drop off my kids. I go to the university. I cycle to the university. So I live just across the national park. A great thing about the university is that on one side of the university is one of the biggest shopping centers. So it's very urban, very cosmopolitan. And on the other side of the university is a national park. So you can actually, not many, but you can actually see wallabies and other creatures in there. So it's almost like Turkey in a sense, where Turkey is between Asia and Europe. So it's a crossroad. So I went there 21 years ago. I came to Australia 21 years ago. Amy mentioned the Sports and Aquatic Center. It is fantastic. It's got squash courts. It's got badminton courts. It's got table tennis facilities. It's got fantastic gym and a heated Olympic-sized pool. During my PhD, my lab mates used to joke that it's easier to find Gaurav at the gym than in the lab. Because balance. You choose what you want to do. And I can do I work in computer science, so I just need a laptop and I can work anywhere. So for me, flexibility is very important. Of course, the students that you have, they are somewhere between 17 years old, 16 or 18 years old. So they don't know what they want out of life. Most of them don't. In fact, most of us, we probably still don't know what we want out of life. So they need some guidance. And it's okay to make mistakes while they are there. In IT, the degrees are very flexible. They can change their course even after one semester if they're not happy with. I teach programming languages. And if they think that Gaurav's teaching is ridiculously bad and they don't want to program ever again in their life, they can change their course fairly easily as well. Before I go into the degrees, are there any questions you would like to ask me? All right. At any point, just stop me and ask questions. Don't wait till the end. Just easy. So computing, School of Computing. I'm the Director of Education in School of Computing. We've got about 6,000 students. It's the biggest school now. It's the biggest school in Macquarie University. It's taken over philosophy or psychology, I think. There are many majors we offer at undergrad level and postgrad level. You can classify them, artificial intelligence and data science, as one. And obviously, if you are following the stock market and the news right now, AI stocks go up and down, 5%, 4% every week, something like that. But NVIDIA stock, for example, over the last 6 months has already climbed 40%. And that is because there is a lot of work being done in AI. Companies are pouring money into AI. Recently, SoftBank sold $8 billion worth of stock in AI, and the stock only fell 1%. Only 1%. So that shows that there is a lot of resilience in the market in terms of AI and data science. Our game development degree, it might be a misconception that if you do a game development degree, then you're only going to write computer games, and that's not true. So if anyone, has anyone used Canva? Canva. So Canva is Sydney born, by the way. Yes. And if you have used Canva, if you've used SharePoint, if you've used Canvas, Blackboard, Moodle, all of these learning management, or Salesforce, if you've used Salesforce, they all require a knowledge of human interaction, UI, UX. And that is something that game development degree provides. You have cybersecurity, and cybersecurity, I'm very proud of cybersecurity because our students always, well, almost always win cybersecurity competitions across Australia and New Zealand. So they almost always win, and when they don't win, they come second. And when they come second, we don't talk to them for 6 months. But I mean, no, it's not like that. We are proud of our students whether they come first, second, or last, okay? The only thing that we tell our students is do your best, approach everything sincerely, work hard, but play harder. So cybersecurity, for me, cybersecurity is very important. And one of the reasons that you might not know this is a lot of big Australian companies, for example, Optus. Optus is the biggest telecom company owned by Singtel, which is a Singaporean company. They absolutely messed up security-wise. So they had lots of security vulnerabilities exposed and data hacked and ransom that I'm pretty sure had to be paid. But because of that, a lot of other companies have become aware of cybersecurity requirements, and they are pouring a lot of money. So there's a lot of demand. In terms of industry partnerships, we are in the innovation district. If a student is energetic, there are lots of opportunities. And that's why I'm very happy to be in Mexico, because in my experience, statistically speaking, and based on my previous encounters, generally speaking, Mexican students are very energetic and very proactive. They don't just sit in their room and sulk that I'm 10,000 kilometers away from home, so I'm going to get grumpy and I'm going to get depressed. No, they go out there, they make friends. Interpersonal skills are really important in Australian job sector. You might think that I'm exaggerating, but in Australia, you can sometimes, not sometimes, many times you can get a job just because in the interview you realize that, oh, you like surfing, and the interviewer likes surfing. So you can bond over that thing, which is not anywhere related to your job, and you get hired. I'm not kidding. So in Australia, technical skills, interpersonal skills, and presentation skills. A combination of those three are fantastic in terms of employability. And I can see all of you here. You're very well presented. Your communication is fantastic. And students want to learn. Mexican students, in my experience, they want to learn. So I don't see any issues with Mexican students getting successful. By the way, Eliud, the guy I was talking about, who I used to run with, he's now the lead software engineer at Qantas. And that is a fairly lucrative gig. So lots of money. In terms of student support, you'll see at the second bullet point is Computing Drop-in Center. And I'm very proud of Computing Drop-in Center because I proposed it. I proposed it in 2008 and was very quickly implemented in 2022. So it took a while. It took 40. So I suggested it when I was a PhD student, but I was a PhD student, so nobody cared. And 2022, when I became the course director for BIT, some people started listening. Earlier, we used to have consultation hours for every unit separately. So if programming unit wants to have consultation, okay, database consultation separately, cybersecurity consultation separately, and between 10 and 12, 1 and 3, 4 and 6, and say that Amy, when Gaurav was teaching in the class, it was very boring, and I fell asleep. can you please explain this to me again? And the staff, the students will, without any judgment, without any prejudice, they'll explain the concept patiently and in a very friendly manner to them again. Data is very good. Data proves that things are working. We've had 6,000 attendances over the last 3 years at the Computing Drop-In Center, and the average satisfaction rating for the Drop-In Center has been 4.9 out of 5 across 6,000 attendances. So, and every time when we get our teaching evaluations, we hear, Computing Drop-In Center really helped me because I was feeling discouraged in the beginning that I don't know the prerequisite knowledge, and it helped me get up to speed. These are the units that the Computing Drop-In Center supports. The second unit that you see, Comp 1010, and also 6010 is my regular unit, Fundamentals of Computer Science. So it's a very nerdy, very dorky unit. It's a lot of coding. It's a lot of banging your head against the keyboard. But along with a couple of resources such as CodingBat, that is developed by Nick Parlante from Stanford University, CodeRunner, that is developed by Professor Richard Lobb at University of Canterbury, and PythonTutor.com, that is a tool developed by Professor Philip Guo at University of California at San Diego. These are all open source tools, and I'm an open source guy. I love everything open source. And the tools I developed are also open source. So I'm sharing that with UT Monterey already. The tools that we have worked for 4 years on, we are sharing it with Monterey without any expectation of any benefit whatsoever. So anyways, I'm trying to say that we provide resources, we provide support, and we provide the learning opportunities in the lectures, and that's really, really helpful for students who want to take that opportunity. The global demand is just unprecedented. Over the last 3 years, maybe you've heard that Gen AI will replace software developers, and all software will be written by computer and things like that. How much time do we have? No, I can go on. The amount of time I used to spend writing code, I'm going to spend the same amount of time reviewing code now. So the way it is good is that the machine does the job for us, and we spend the time analyzing and engineering that has happened over the last 20, 30 years. Take carts versus cars instead. Carts, bullock carts. We had to ride it ourselves. And now autonomous cars have come in. So the engineers have to still do the job to make sure that the algorithms are there. So what I would say is that the Gen AI replacing me, hopefully, is a misconception. And developers, cybersecurity experts, risk analysis, risk management, artificial intelligence architects, business analysts, these jobs will still exist. They won't just go away. They will become more refined. So we won't have to do clerical job, we have to do more intellectual job. Work integrated learning is very important degree, the last unit that they do in IT or any other degree, whether it's business analytics, law, accounting, finance, anything. We have one unit at the end of the degree where they do analysis at a company under the supervision of a real world manager. It gives them real world team experience, and that includes having really bad teams. So students, they'll always be angry that one of our team members is not your team. And what can we do to with that? But at the end of the day, these are the skills that we get, and they mature in terms of dealing with people and interpersonal skills. I don't want to offer this. EIT is the flagship degree, Bachelor of Information Technology, that has many majors, but they can also do specialized degree in cybersecurity. And then that's what I was saying, that 17, 18-year-old kids, maybe they don't know what they want, that's fine. But for the 10% or 20% who know exactly what they want, specialized degrees are very good. Because they know they want to go to cybersecurity. So they don't have to waste their time doing more general things. So Bachelor of Cybersecurity means that it's specialized and it will create cybersecurity experts. On the other hand, BIT, if you don't exactly know what you want, if you want some flexibility with a degree, then you can start with BIT, which has 6 or 7 years. We have to do 400 years. Smart. So most of our degrees are 3 degrees except our honors degrees, which is engineering, which is a full degree. If you can go back and further back again. Okay, so it doesn't list the majors. I'll list them as I remember. AI, data science, cybersecurity, information systems, software development, and web and mobile app development. Software and web together are in development, AI and data science more for AI and machine learning, cybersecurity, and there's also a information systems is for someone who wants to work in IT, but also is not very keen on rocky stuff. So it's more between business and core IT. And the job that information system prepares you for is a business analyst. If you can go to the next one. Postgraduate offerings are 2 years in duration. Currently, the list of degrees are MIT, which is for students who don't have an IT undergrad. So if a student has a degree in business, let's say, undergrad degree in business, but they have done 2 or 3 units in IT like HTML and database or maybe Python programming, they can do the first degree, MIT. So it's what we call non-formal students from the related degree. But if you done a degree in, let's say, archaeology, and you have no IT background, then you don't qualify for archaeology. So it's not, there has to be some overlap. So you can an undergrad in business, in finance, in accounting, if you have some IT units in there, 2 or 3 I think, then you qualify for MIT. Master of Data Science is dedicated for data science. We are 49th in the world in AI and data science category. Again, I'm saying ranking, but take it with a grain of salt, because anyways, 4th rank, or is not the 3rd rank, I feel it's the same. Because the world is of me. The other 3 degrees, I'm gonna go ahead, and there are proposed changes. I'm gonna share those proposed changes with you. The last degree will remain unchanged. Master of Information Systems Management focuses creating business analysts here, or risk managers, for example, or IT process or project managers. The other degree, it's a long name. It's Master of Information Technology in Artificial Intelligence. The first degree that we have, MIT, it has applied artificial intelligence majors. So it is Master of Information Technology, bracket applied artificial intelligence. But it's like confusing, right? So the last 2 degrees we are actually changing. And those degrees are becoming Master of Artificial Intelligence and Master of Cybersecurity. They are dedicated degrees. It aligns with Bachelor of Cybersecurity, and it makes it much easier for employers to understand what you do. So they know that you're a specialist. And just like the undergrad degrees, it creates specialist artificial intelligence experts like AI engineers and cybersecurity experts. But the duration is 2 years for MIT or any other postgrad degree. In terms of degree, that's about it. In terms of support structure, I would also like to mention very quickly, especially for undergrad students, Amy mentioned is a pathway program. So in one of the slides, she showed that there was a left panel Macquarie University and the right panel Macquarie University College. I work at Macquarie University, my wife works at Macquarie University College. We could work in the same place, but we probably kill each other. After 2 years. So it gives us freedom without being each other's business all the time. So the pathway program is a fantastic program. It gives students are very confident that they can go to a new place and do everything independently. The pathway provides a little bit more easier transition into international education. So that's another option for international students. Besides that, would you like to ask me anything? Please do. Yes. Hi. Hi.
Thank you for the talk. Thank you, friends, for the breakfast proposition. Professor Duda, I just saw your. Thank you. You see, yes, your page, your book, scholar. I just wanted to ask you, please, thank you very much. How is it like to do research at Macquarie? I see, for instance, that you are the leader of the molecular communication.
Yes.
Yeah, and I see that also Professor Joseph was also very how's it like to communicate with other researchers and stuff like that? Thank you.
So this is embarrassing. I'm seeing my page. I did have a qualification between 2005 and 2008. And as I said earlier, I used to play more squash and actually work on my papers. I found PhD very, very enjoyable because I enjoyed cryptography. So I did my PhD in cryptography. I did a postdoc after that for 3-4 years, and that's when I published all the papers. If you take a look at the year of publication, this is that I've published nothing in the last 13 years. Because I made a choice. So after my postdoc, I didn't really enjoy research, but that's me. I didn't enjoy research. We had kids in 2014, and I decided to actually work as a sessional staff for 7 years. And then my kids went to school. And I now work for a teaching and leadership position. So I do teaching. And I do leadership roles like director of education, acting associate. While I was doing my PhD, I loved research. But when I was doing my postdoc, most of the grants were based on what's required in the industry. And I didn't enjoy it, so I said, I really love teaching, I'm going to do teaching. That said, there are other people who don't like teaching, they like research. And they do a lot of research. There is one guy, for example, Amir Beheshti, he does research in AI. He pulls in something like $20 million of grants every year. And I had 15 publications across 3 or 4 years of my PhD postdoc. This guy has like 25 publications every year. Because he's good at research. And he likes research. So again, my view is I'm very hipster in that sense that I think that you should do what you're happy with. So to answer your question, research is very, very important for Macquarie. There are lots of people, Amir Beheshti, AI, Sean Zhang in cybersecurity, J.R. Group in AI machine learning, and they are research superstars. They pull in money that I can't get in my lifetime. So everyone has strengths, and my strength is I hate teaching, their strength is research.
I mean, for instance, Joseph, the number of publications he has during just this year is crazy. It's 8 or 9 publications just during.
Okay. So while we discuss other things, I would like you to look at another person, JIA. JIA space W JIA. A for America. And search for GRU Macquarie University. Anyways, why that happens, we talk about other things, and you probably fall off your chair when you see his publications. So students can go into research if they want, but at the end of the day, what you want to do. Yes.
Hi. Thank you very much for the conversation. I really enjoyed it. I love the part of loving what you do and choosing your life because that's basically yours. So, but I was wondering, Australia looks like paradise, but I want to know the dark secrets. What is the biggest challenge of living in Australia, if you can share?
And I'll be very honest with you. And maybe you will hate me for that. Australia and Sydney generally and Sydney especially are very expensive. So in terms of cost of living, standard of living, is already said, you know, the cost of city. Cost of living is also high. But there's a reason for that. Every time you cross Harbour Bridge, it's a view worth thousands. So it's expensive for a reason, because it is so damn gorgeous. So it is picturesque, it is amazing, it is very multicultural, it is very inclusive, and especially, you know, like it's almost mutual. If you are inclusive, others are inclusive. If you don't want to mix with other cultures won't want to mix with you. And that's why I found out with Mexican students that they're very outgoing. And they make friends very, very easily. And I play soccer with a group which is Colombians and Peruvians. So one team is Colombian, one team is Peruvian, and I am put in one of the teams every week because I need it. But yes, the entire Latin America is very friendly. Dark secrets, pretty.
Yeah, the webcam's here, so.
Dark secrets is aggressive, and I would say still that's the only downside. But like Elliot, for example, Elliot was a lot of effort in secret. He was always there, and he was always very keen to learn. And when he was doing the degree with me, he was very keen to learn. And at the end of the day, that's what we bring to the student. You should be keen to learn. Sometimes you must find it difficult, things that are happening. And all study groups, coming to your leader or lecturer, professor, asking for help, competing on the center, going there, is all a part of learning. So it's expensive, but to navigate that and take that for 2 years, focus on what I can say. Jobs on campus are well done. Then the rewards are proportional to the cost. So anyone makes more money than me now. And much more. I should ask you to take me out and stay sometime. So pay the cost for 2 years, and there's a lot of employment. And for your proficient students, if you send students who you think are truly gifted, my email address, Amy will share it with you. If you have students who are truly gifted, send me an email with their details and the jobs that we have on campus, teaching associates, community development center staff, they pay at a much higher rate than outside jobs. Not only that, they are very relevant in developing your interpersonal skills and knowledge and technical skills. There was a physicist, Richard Feynman. Richard Feynman is a Feynman technique of learning. It says that when you learn something, experiment with some of the people, and you understand that thing even better. So if you have students who are promising, send me their details, and I'll make sure that I guide them appropriately. Complete development center pays about $45 an hour. Teaching associates pay about $59 an hour. And content development, which a lot of my undergrad and postgrad students do for me, pays at about $71 an hour. So there are lots of opportunities for students who are willing to work hard. That's it. Oh, the other dark secret about Australia, apart from everywhere. So I have a 15-hour flight to Vancouver and then a 5-hour flight to Mexico. So I guess that's the only downside to Australia. But then, pros and cons, right?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Bucher. I'm sure we will have a little bit more time to ask any additional questions. But now I would like to welcome my colleagues from Laudex. that have also some very special information for our attendees today to tell you more about the funding opportunities that your students can partake.
¿Qué tal? Muy bien, muchísimas gracias. Gracias por toda la información que nos están dando. Por esta parte, la UES puede compartirles acerca de todo nuestro propósito, acerca de que los chicos puedan salir al extranjero. Nosotros ya contamos con una experiencia muy amplia, estamos siendo líderes dentro del crecimiento educativo desde hace más de 15 años. Como pueden ver, en la parte de actividad diapositiva viene el logo de Santander, que es uno de los principales moderadores para poder llevar a cabo cada uno de los proyectos. Estamos avalados ante AMPE, en Bayer y algunas otras instituciones de nivel nacional e internacional. Hemos podido llevar a cabo ya en cuestión de inversión a partir de más de 65 agentes e instituciones, como puede ser en este caso con The Education, quienes nos ayudan a que los chicos que estén interesados puedan acudir directamente hacia ellos y posteriormente, como lo decía hace un momento el doctor, puede parecer un poco caro o elevado en cuestión de lo que los chicos necesitan para salir, pero para eso estamos aquí nosotros. Podemos financiar desde 15,000 pesos mexicanos hasta un máximo de 1,725,000. Algo muy importante de mencionar es que con nosotros no nos tienen que hacer un desglose los chicos de en qué se va a gastar cada uno de los conceptos como tal, sino que pueden hacer una cotización completa de qué van a estar utilizando y con base en eso hacer un proyecto directamente para poder costear temas de boletos de avión, manutención, visado, incluso hay, por ejemplo, quienes ocupan ropa en específico porque decíamos, el tema del clima aquí en México es completamente diferente en el mundo. Entonces, pueden costear cualquier tipo de concepto adicional aparte de la matriculación. Y bueno, siguiente por favor. Muy brevemente les puedo mencionar los requisitos que se necesitan. En este caso, la mayoría de los chicos ya son mayores de edad cuando salen al extranjero. Cuando no es así, tenemos un producto en específico que es para chicos menores de edad, llevándolo a cabo con mamá o papá únicamente. Cuando ya son mayores de edad, de lo que se mayoría ya son, lo único que pedimos es que ellos sean mexicanos o cuenten con una residencia permanente, cuenten con un buen historial crediticio y que preferentemente ya tengan una carta de aceptación. Cuando no se cuenta con ella, tiene la ventaja de que al trabajar con una agencia directamente, puede ser un poco más rápido porque lo vemos de manera interna. Por otro lado, en cuestión del obligado solidario, o el ABA, que va a ser ustedes garantía que los chicos salen aquí y esa persona se queda aquí directamente en México, pedimos es igual una persona mexicana con residencia permanente que tenga una edad de mínimo 25 años, máximo 69, pueda comprobar ingresos aquí en México y de igual manera tenga un buen historial crediticio. Una de las promesas que tiene la UES para cada uno de los chicos que se acercan con nosotros y las familias es que el procedimiento es tan fácil como hacerse en 2 días hábiles. Todo el procedimiento es muy breve, buscamos cerca de 2, máximo 5 días hábiles. Lo principal es que ellos los busquen, los indiquen cuál es el proyecto que tienen en mente y a partir de eso hacer una reaprobación. Más o menos tenemos entre 15 a 20 minutos una respuesta para saber si son candidatos al financiamiento. Posteriormente se les pide la documentación muy general y al finalizar se lleva a cabo la firma de su contrato. Reitero, todo este procedimiento lo podemos hacer en un lapso de 2 a máximo 5 días hábiles y todo se hace de manera en línea. No necesariamente tenemos que estar aquí, digo, esta es parte de nuestro espacio corporativo, pero nosotros lo vamos a hacer de manera remota para que sea algo más fácil para ellos. Bien, aquí vienen algunas de las razones de por qué pueden realizar su funcionamiento con nosotros. Para empezar, nosotros no realizamos convocatorias, sino que al ser una institución privada, podemos hacerlo en cualquier momento los 365 días del año. El proceso como les mencioné es muy rápido, pueden llevar a cabo cualquier tipo de experiencia académica, desde summer camps, cursos de idioma, licenciatura, maestría, diplomados, posgrados, cualquier tipo en cualquier lugar del mundo. Respaldamos nuestra capacidad financiera lleva. Muchas veces también hay quienes ya cuentan a lo mejor con un plan de ahorro para llevar a cabo el tema de la matriculación. Pero hay quienes en algunos lugares les solicitan el dinero de comprobación de gastos, una cuenta bloqueada, que a lo mejor han escuchado a veces. También nosotros podemos llevar a cabo ese tipo de procedimientos, por así decirlo, donde los chicos reciben el dinero, se queda en su cuenta congelada de 1, 3 hasta 4 veces dependiendo del país y de la institución, y posteriormente puedan devolver el dinero una vez. Únicamente se calculan los intereses que generaron en ese tiempo. ¿Bien? Por otra parte, el tema de la propiedad en garantía es algo de lo que más nos llegan a preguntar si es obligatorio, si se debe llevar a cabo o no. Con nosotros, en montos arriba de 800,000 pesos, sí es necesario y obligatorio. Abajo de ese monto, ellos deciden si lo pero no. Las tasas de intereses son bastante competitivas, pueden ir desde 17,99 hasta 26,99, dependiendo del producto al que ellos accedan, quién sea su obligado solidario y si vamos a colocar una propiedad de garantía o no. El depósito se genera directamente al alumno o al profesor, dependiendo de cómo lo deciden ellos. Al ser una financiera, ellos no tienen ningún tema de problema o algún tema con el SAT, por ejemplo, o cuestión de pagar algún impuesto, llega directamente a su cuenta y no hay como nada que pueda tener un poco de ruido. Los plazos tampoco son forzosos. Generalmente llevamos a cabo plazos de 60 meses, que son 5 años, pero no es obligatorio. Si en un momento ellos quieren poder liquidar desde antes, lo pueden generar, no hay ningún tipo de penalización, y también pueden llevar a cabo la liquidación del mismo crédito sin ninguna penalización. Bien, pues esa es información de manera muy amplia y general y de cómo se llevan a cabo los proyectos. Muchísimas gracias.
Bueno, antes que nada, gracias a todos los expositores y a todos los que vinieron. Sabemos que todos, casi los que me digo contado, si hay alguien que se acaba de retirar en este momento, estamos a su disposición disponibles. Nosotros vamos a continuar con la presentación de ley y con questions and answers.
Voy.
Y nosotros estamos aquí tiempo limitado, pero quien se tenga que retirar, por favor, no duden.
¿Qué pasó?
¿Quiénes somos? No me voy a ir con la presentación porque no soy convencido.
No te entendí nada.
Pero somos una agencia científica que estamos dedicadas a ayudar, ayudar y acompañar a nuestros estudiantes en el extranjero desde el punto número 0, que es no sé exactamente qué quiero estudiar, hasta que ya se
Ahora sí, ¿qué pasó? ¿Quieres que pusiera ahí la información? No, pues no. No, pues no puedo.
Trabajamos de la mano, Alejandra y yo, con cada uno de los estudiantes, sus counselors y sus padres, para que el proceso sea lo más amigable y también que se trabaje en equipo. Algo que mencioné al principio y es algo muy importante. No hacemos nada sin tomar en cuenta la opinión o el valor de cada una de las personas que tienen decisión sobre que se va a estudiar y se va a estudiar. Entonces lo hacemos en equipo, lo hacemos de una forma muy minuciosa, muy específica, buscamos el programa perfecto, les ayudamos a encontrar accommodation, les ayudamos a guiarse cuando comprar los boletos, cuando comprar los boletos, les hacemos tablas de presupuestos, trabajamos con ellos todo. ¿Por qué? Porque ese es nuestro gran diferenciador. Nosotros no solamente hacemos las aplicaciones en la universidad, sino que también tenemos una parte de profesionalizar, los investigatorios, sin embargo sí podemos ayudarlos en eso. Y sobre todo lo que más nos interesa es el bienestar y el beneficio del estudiante. Tenga la edad que tenga, no importa si se van a ir a los americanos, no importa si van a estudiar inglés, no importa si se van a hacer un semestre abroad, si se van a hacer la carrera, o el doctorado, en cada uno de estos casos hay muchas contradicciones, hay muchos puntos de estrés, hay muchas dudas y hay muchísimos miedos. No solamente de estudiantes, sino de todos los que estamos alrededor.
¿Por qué? Porque están explicando que los maestros quieren que el estudiante esté bien. Nosotros como agentes pues, queremos que el estudiante vaya bien. La universidad le interesa que el estudiante esté bien. Y el estudiante no quiere que se le encima, por lo tanto hay que acompañar bien. Eso somos nosotros. Estamos en contacto con todos ustedes. Estamos en contacto con Amy. Estamos en contacto con Macquarie University. Tenemos una representación en Estados Unidos en el norte del país y de manera nacional. Si alguien de ustedes tiene alguna pregunta, ya sea para mí, para Amy, para que se pregunta, díganme.
Yo tengo una pregunta para ti.
¿Pasa el micrófono para que funcione?
Sí, gracias. ¿Quiénes para ustedes? ¿Los estudiantes para ustedes? ¿Quiénes para?
¿Eso puedo responder?
Sí, gracias.
Es una muy buena pregunta y creo que no, es excelente. No, es excelente porque además es muy bueno que todos nos sintamos como súper en confianza, súper claros, que sepamos que los procesos son completamente abiertos. Y eso es algo que caracteriza muchísimo a la educación australiana, desde las aplicaciones hasta todo el manejo. Las universidades australianas, estoy segura que quienes han tenido relacionamiento lo habrán escuchado, mucho de la manera en la que se acercan a los estudiantes, sobre todo por lo lejos que estamos, es a través muchas veces de nuestros partners aquí, que son agencias completamente autorizadas, representadas por Macquarie, y todos sus estudiantes al momento de hacer cualquier proceso no tienen que pagar absolutamente nada. Y Macquarie es quien le hace pago una comisión directamente a las agencias. Entonces, por esa parte, no se debe de... Muchas gracias. Yo soy la parte de la México y llevo los intercambios salientes. Y mi pregunta es si hablabas de que los alumnos cuando están allá pueden trabajar unas horas, ya sea en campus o fuera. Y digo, si me puedes compartir una de las cosas que les llegan a pagar ciertos trabajos. Lo que hacen los alumnos es suficiente como para estar manteniendo allá o como en qué porcentaje consideras que siguen estando allá, porque el límite para muchos estudiantes es que luego las colegiaturas allá son caras, pues tenemos las hacemos descuento en el agua, pero la manutención allá es lo que nos frena.
Extraordinarias preguntas, igual ahorita Aulia me pueden ayudar. Miren, muchísimas gracias a todos, entendemos y gracias y nos mantenemos en contacto. Aquí es muy importante esta pregunta, no sabemos del nivel académico y del nivel de sus estudiantes, particularmente de los estudiantes mexicanos, pero es muy importante saber que el nivel de trabajo que el estudiante va a tener va a depender enormemente de su dominio del idioma y de la experiencia que el estudiante ya haya tenido, ¿no? Sin duda alguna, quizá no es lo mismo como si fuera egresar directamente del high school a buscar oportunidades laborales, a lo mejor un estudiante de la NAUOC, de la Universidad Panamericana, del TEC, que está en su tercer año, que ya ha hecho internships, que a lo mejor ya ha estado trabajando a la par que estudia. Va a depender 100% de esto. Siempre para manejar las expectativas de los estudiantes, mencionamos que son posiciones flexibles. Estudiantes que tienen buen nivel de inglés pero que no tienen mayor experiencia laboral, es muy probable que vayan a trabajar en tiendas, en coffee shops, en restaurantes. Por ejemplo, hemos tenido estudiantes que vienen de intercambio, que tienen perfecto inglés y que no tienen tanta experiencia laboral y son contratados para hacer host o para apoyar en ciertos servicios, porque realmente los estudiantes latinoamericanos y mexicanos sí hacen una gran diferencia, como el profesor Gupta dice. Entonces creo que ahí tenemos un plus gigantesco. El gobierno australiano, y aquí me gustaría que Ale y Pau me ayudaran a mencionar, sí tiene ciertos requerimientos de presentación de fondos para el visado. Entonces siempre es muy importante tomar en cuenta que estos trabajos part-time que los estudiantes pueden hacer, los van a apoyar en ayudarse en parte de sus gastos de vida, pero sí es muy importante que ellos tengan considerado lo más posible para su programa académico aún si fuera, por ejemplo, un semestre o un study abroad. Por eso es que hacemos un relacionamiento directo con Laurex o con otras instituciones, y entonces que ya este dinero adicional que puedan recibir sea un plus. O sea, les voy a poner mi ejemplo. Yo me fui en su momento con una beca de CONACYT, digo, fui muy afortunada, las cosas han cambiado, y yo estaba haciendo un trabajo en el campus, era International Student Ambassador. Yo la realidad es que ganaba mucho más por arriba del salario mínimo. En ese momento fácilmente eran alrededor de $32 australianos la hora. Con esto yo aproveché para pagar como un restante de mi colegiatura y me ayudaba en parte de los gastos de vida, ¿no? Pero todo depende de eso, ¿no? Del balance financiero que los estudiantes hagan. Pero si me apoyas un poquito con la parte de Elisa.
Gracias, Amy. Sí, afortunadamente para México, como somos nivel 1 para Australia, no nos piden como tal la comprobación de fondos para la visa, pero ahora lo que están haciendo las universidades es que sí solicitan generalmente que llenen un Gen Student Form en donde ellos indiquen cómo es que van a solventar los gastos. No todas lo piden, pero sí la mayoría, entonces sí es importante que tengan cubierta esa parte. Entonces, solamente cuando hacemos el llenado de la visa nos preguntan, ¿no? Que si van a contar con los fondos suficientes, le ponemos el monto mensual y listo. Eso es una gran ventaja para los estudiantes mexicanos, a diferencia de otros países que sí piden tener una cuenta bloqueada o los fondos suficientes para aplicar a la visa. En cuanto a la manutención, como bien decía Amy, realmente es algo, el gobierno australiano tiene un estimado de que un estudiante necesita alrededor de $2,300 mensuales para mantenerse. En el peor de los casos, así el peor de los escenarios, que el estudiante únicamente trabajara medio tiempo, ganando el mínimo, cuenta con ese dinero, gana alrededor de un poquito más de $2,300 por mes. Entonces, 2,800. Entonces, sí se pueden ayudar para solventar gastos de manutención, obviamente, considerando que sí tengan al menos un colchón de los primeros meses, unos 4 meses, para solventar sus gastos en lo que se adaptan, en lo que conocen, en lo que pueden conseguir trabajo, pero pueden hacerlo. Y más trabajando, mi sugerencia, digo, Amy trabajó en Macquarie, yo también trabajé dentro de la Universidad de Programas Internacionales. Entonces, siempre la sugerencia es busquen dentro de la universidad, como decía el profesor Punta también, es muy beneficioso el que puedan trabajar dentro de la universidad. Uno, no tienen que gastar en transporte, y dos, los salarios son más altos. Entonces, esa es siempre la sugerencia. No sé si con esto respondemos tu duda.
Bueno, obviamente todo ha sido muy enfocado a Macquarie, pero les quiero reiterar que este es un poco el modelo en el que la gran mayoría, por no decir todas, de las universidades australianas trabajan. Entonces, este tipo de Career and Employment Center, las oportunidades en los campus, todo funciona de la misma manera en la mayoría de las universidades y en las ciudades.
Mi duda es como en cuestiones académicas. Yo soy Claudio González, vengo de Sierra Nevada, de San Mateo. Nosotros no tenemos IB, pero tenemos un programa que se llama JC, que es de ICT. Vi que para que no hagan foundation years a partir de 22, no alcancé como a corregir, pero por ejemplo, tengo un alumno que sacó 26 puntos en su ICT. Entonces, no sé si para eso ya no califica para la foundation year. Y la otra es que como llevamos este programa de ICT, que son muchos materias en inglés, pues obviamente sí eso les ayuda como en su pathway para acceder a la universidad. Porque muchos me preguntan esta parte de, es que nosotros, porque se supone que ICT es un programa, creo que precisamente australiano, ¿no? Y por otro lado, la otra es, no vi listado en los English Proficiencies, no aceptan Duolingo, ¿verdad? Okay.
No, se puede revisar las preguntas, pero sí principalmente son programas como el IELTS, como el TOEFL,
como el Pearson, el Cambridge. Muchísimas gracias por mencionar la parte de los requerimientos académicos. Lo que se mostró son solamente un como mínimo y máximo. Entonces, no se preocupen, o sea, de hecho, en el SAT 26 es bastante, un poquito más elevado. La realidad es que todo depende del programa académico. O sea, no es lo mismo el requerimiento que se va a necesitar para un Bachelor of Arts que para el equivalente del programa de medicina. Entonces, no viene necesariamente aquí, pero yo se los puedo compartir, o se los puedo compartir a través de mis colegas de The Gate. Existe una tabla con toda la variación de los programas. Entonces, sí es importante que el estudiante revise para su programa de interés el requerimiento.
Gracias.
Gracias. Es Ana Bremont, counselor de Prepatec Esmeralda. De hecho, hacia eso iba mi pregunta, porque medicina es una de las disciplinas que más nos consultan los alumnos y que realmente resultan muy complicadas para ellos estudiar en el extranjero. Entonces, quería saber precisamente cuáles eran los requerimientos para medicina en Australia y más o menos el promedio de años de estudio.
Claro que sí. Bueno, sí es importante mencionar que medicina, muy a diferencia de cómo se lleva en México, en Australia principalmente, de hecho, bueno, hay como general degrees y professional degrees que tienen requerimientos muy especiales y ciertos programas muy específicos, digamos que para que los estudiantes alcancen la certificación, normalmente tienen que hacer una combinación de un programa de licenciatura en conjunto con un programa de maestría. Esto, en el caso de medicina, es muy particular en Australia y te diría que la gran mayoría de las universidades así funcionan, no es únicamente Macquarie. Entonces, en el caso de medicina, un estudiante internacional, bueno, al igual que un estudiante doméstico, necesitaría ser el equivalente del Bachelor of Clinical Science, que es un programa muy intensivo que dura 2 años, pero tiene el equivalente de 3 años dentro del currículum. Entonces, es súper intensivo. Y después continuar en el equivalente de Doctor of Medicine, que tiene una duración de 4 años. Y de esta manera, digamos que ellos cubrirían como medicina general, por decirlo así, y ya posteriormente podrían continuar con las especializaciones. Bachelor of Clinical Science es relativamente mucho más alta la entrada. Sin embargo, te diría que no es imposible. Por ejemplo, el requerimiento... El requerimiento en el IB, para darte una idea, es el equivalente de 32. O sea, el nivel de inglés es más alto y sí se les pide idealmente tener una equivalencia de 90 más de 100. Entonces, bueno, aquí mi mensaje es muy competitivo porque son plazas bastante limitadas, como lo sería en México, ¿no? O sea, creo que medicina es competitiva en todo el mundo, pero no es imposible. Dicho esto, también Macquarie tiene otro tipo de programas que son más multidisciplinarios, más abiertos, a little bit like Dr. Gupta mentioned for the Bachelor of Information Technology, but programs in which if the student is not fully committed to do medicine per se, but they are thinking that maybe they might want to be a biotechnologist or researcher or work in health administration, there are so many other degrees. Y lo mismo para posgrado. Exactly. They are different. Yeah, and this 32 in the IB for Bachelor of Clinical Science is very specific. I would say only the Bachelor of Actuarial Studies is higher. That is like 36. All the other programs that I mentioned, the entry requirements are a bit more standard. So, gracias. ¿Otra pregunta? No, pues. Thank you so Thank you again to Laudex colleagues. It's been amazing. We love to be here. It's beautiful facilities. Please, los estudiantes no duden en venir a visitarlos en sus instalaciones. Están preciosas y con colegas maravillosos. Y bueno, thank you so much again to my colleagues from the Gate Education, nuestra egresada, and our very, very close partners. Y bueno, recuerden que los estudiantes están en las mejores manos. Como les digo, esta sesión realmente fue para poner sobre la mesa muchas oportunidades en las que podemos colaborar en todo tipo de diferentes programas, desde intercambios, programas cortos, investigación, como el profesor dijo, double degrees, intercambio académico. Entonces, pues bueno, aquí yo estoy a la orden en México para estar en contacto con ustedes y bueno, no duden en contactar a mis colegas y les compartiremos el contacto of Dr. Gupta. ¿Okay? Muchísimas gracias. Buenas tardes.